It is 8:13 now. We just talked about Bernie Sanders' performance in the Nevada caucus, and our most recent 10 News Union Tribune poll breaks down how the candidates are all doing here in California. We want to take a look at some of the latest numbers here with you this morning.
Absolutely. Sanders surging in the Sunshine State, 25% of voters saying that he would be their pick for Democrat right now, and Mike Bloomberg in second at 21%. Joe Biden has slid down to 15%. And here with us this morning is Dr. Kira Green with the Center on Policy Initiatives. And Dr. Green, we just saw those numbers. Just about a month ago, Joe Biden was in the lead and Sanders was trailing, and now that has flipped. Is it something Sanders did? Is it something Biden did? Is there a Bloomberg effect to all of this? Why the change?
I think part of it is we have to remember that Joe Biden has been a candidate 3 times for president. And I think each time he starts out as a strong frontrunner and then really struggles to connect with voters. And I think that's a piece of what's happened. He hasn't really found his issue to break out. And Mike Bloomberg entering the race also highlights that people are looking for someone who's a bit of a disruptor, someone who's bringing something new and different. And I don't think Joe Biden's found a way to position himself in that place.
We talked about Mike Bloomberg briefly. You mentioned him. He had a pretty difficult time in his first debate showing last week. What do you see happening from here with his campaign? It doesn't seem to have affected the numbers in that polling that we just took.
Right.
Do you anticipate, maybe this perceived problem with women voters being an issue here in California when we come to Super Tuesday?
I think it's very hard to predict what will happen with Mike Bloomberg. He's a candidate unlike any that we've ever seen. I mean, we have a primary coming up in South Carolina. He's not even on the ballot.
Right.
So I think to think about his whole strategy is based on Super Tuesday. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with it. I think what's clear to me is that I think the voters he's after are young voters. And I think many of them are very much on social media. I think they're going to spend a lot of time having watched that performance over and over again. I don't think it bodes well for him.
We look at some of the other numbers from the poll, and it talked a lot about minority voters and who they prefer. And most recently, their support shows that especially black voters have been moving from Biden to Bloomberg. Latinos have been moving from Biden to Sanders. Is there a candidate out of all of them that the whole Democratic Party can really rally around? Or is this going to stay fractionalized pretty much through the convention?
I am not sure about that. I think anybody who says they definitively know that is much braver than I am. I think what's really clear to me, though, is that all of those voters do say that they are strongly supporting a Democrat in this race. They're going to find a way to come together. It may be decided at the convention. I think that what's very important about this, about young voters, we will know more about that after Super Tuesday, because we will see the states that have a lot of diversity. And if Nevada is any example, I think Bernie Sanders may be getting this party to coalesce around him.
I know we have some of the polling specifically talks about the timeline, like when Californians are going to have a heads up. If we can put up that one of those graphics that we have from that 10 News Union Tribune poll, some of it kind of talks about when you think the Democratic Party will know who the nominee is. And as kind of reflects what you said, Kira, that maybe not until the middle of the convention.
It is possible, and it will be exciting, but that's the kind of election cycles we've been having. We don't know what to expect because we have all new types of candidates and new types of races.
We need to wrap, but I want to get one quick little question in here. What does President Trump think about all this then, as we see so much strife really among the Democratic Party and no clear front runner, even now after 3 votes?
It's hard to know what President Trump thinks about things. I say we check his Twitter. That's probably where we'll find out what he's thinking about it. I think it's just as hard as it is for him as it is for anyone else. He doesn't really know who his opponent is right now.
Oh, it's so interesting. Dr. Kira Green, you're going to be back with us next weekend.
Yes.
So we need about 20 minutes for that.
Okay.
Appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
It's great having you. And we are just about 10 days away from the California presidential primary. So if you missed the deadline to register, you can still vote. You just have to do it conditionally and submit a provisional ballot. You can do that up until Election Day. Your last chance to request a mail-in ballot is February 25th, and Super Tuesday with the California primary is on March 3rd. Stay with 10 News and 10news.com for your complete election coverage.